We're going to log into the Oracle Storage Cloud and look at storage services. First way we're going to do it is with Cloudberry. Cloudberry is the easiest way to do it. It's the human readable user interface that allows us to go in. Notice we've got a list of accounts here where we've got FTP servers, we've got a variety of demo servers. The way those are set is you go into add new account or edit accounts and enter the storage domain, where this is the identity domain appended with colon and the username and then the password, and then you go to the us2.storage.oraclecloud.com for authentication. When you click on the test connection, it should come back with connection success. And in doing so, that allows us to go in and look at all of the different storage trees that we've got defined. And we can do drag and drop. So I can take my public key and drop it over here, and it's going to copy it. So this is the easiest way to copy and paste a variety of things in and out of the containers. So it allows us to see a variety of things, allows us to see the files that actually drop in there. So it's the best for manipulating files. Unfortunately, this product does cost a little bit of money. If I go to the Cloudberry website, it does cost $30 to load this onto a system. It's also Windows only based, so it's not a perfect solution. It doesn't work on Mac, doesn't work on Linux, but it does work fundamentally the way a user would like to see it. Now, if I were going to go into the cloud service, I would log into it the way I normally do. Using the same credentials. I can remember the password. This allows me to come in and look at the storage. Mainly what I'm trying to look for here is the REST endpoint for the storage cloud service. And so if I go into the storage cloud service, it allows me to look at the details of the cloud service. And I can look at usage, but the endpoint is primarily what I was looking for. So I'd copy this. I'd come into Postman, given that I'm coming into the API interface to go in and look at the storage services. This is a REST API protocol. I make sure I copy and paste the endpoint, which is what we're doing here. That's the endpoint. I authenticate. I have to do refresh headers because if I hit return, it's going to do the send, but what I need is this authorization. When I have the authorization, I can click the send and it's going to show me everything that's there. I can also go in and look for that other file that we just uploaded, and we've got that file there. So that's the way I would do that with Postman. With Firefox, I'd do pretty much the same thing, except I'd use the REST API client. I still have to go in with the authentication. I have to give it the endpoint. I have to do the authorization and come in and see everything the way I expect it to. Slightly different user interface, slightly different reporting, but we're looking for is a 200 here saying it was a good exchange. We have the right credentials. If we come back with a 401, that means the credentials weren't good, and we have other ways of doing it. The thing I like about this is it does show me a history, so I know what I was doing previously on what environment, so I can go back and look at other stuff and scroll down and see what I was doing. So I can do a post and that'll create that directory. I can do a delete and it'll delete that directory. So there's a variety of ways of doing it, and I can go back and look at how did I do this and how did I get to where I am. Preferably, my favorite way though is to come in with a CURL command. With the CURL command, the first thing I have to do is go in and say, I want to do a get. I'm going to pass in the username, and notice it's the identity domain colon username, and then I'm going to pass in a password. And if I use a variable from the line, I don't have to show the password here. I can script it. I put it as an environment variable, so I say set opass equal my actual password. When I type in this command, it comes back with an authentication token, and what I'm looking for is this authentication token coming back, because that's what's returned from the password credentials. And then I can go in and say pass in, I'm going to do a get function, I'm going to pass in the auth token to that site, which will then return all of this data, where I do the negotiation, I make the connection, it accepts the authentication, and it returns back, here are the directories that I'm looking at in this storage. So if I go in and look, I see everything I was hoping to see. If I want to look for the file we just copied up there, I go ahead and say, okay, show me the pchef directory, and it shows here's the public key that I uploaded. So to review, there were 3 ways we did this. The first way was the Cloudberry Explorer, and that allowed me to go in and see everything from a drag and drop file navigation, a user interface type thing. That allows me to see files. I can open this file, I can look at it, I can do everything I need to manipulate files that are in the storage. The second way was going in with the Postman. Not as easy to upload files. That I can do it, it's a little bit trickier. I can download this file, it's a little bit trickier. It's not really intended for file I/O, it's more intended for management of the containers. And then the third is the command line, where I can go in and with the CURL command, I can upload files, I can download files, I can look at containers, look at permissions, but everything's based on that authentication token that's returned from the password that we pass in the first time. So we actually pass in a password, pull back the auth token, and then can use CURL to script everything. So that's a brief overview of 3 different ways of managing and manipulating storage objects. In the future, we'll look at how this compares to Amazon, how this compares to Azure, and how it compares to other storage services in the cloud.